Oh, it is all go today. Michael Carrick has been sacked by Middlesbrough. We were talking only yesterday on the Championship Check-In podcast that there would be a minimum of 8 new faces in jobs to start next season. Well, there's a reason we said minimum. There's going to be a minimum of 9 now because Steve Gibson has pulled the trigger on Michael Carrick. Now, I am surprised and I'm not surprised by this. The reason I am surprised is I thought if Michael Carrick was going to be fired by Boro, that it would have happened very much like happened to Liam Rosenior for Hull last season, where pretty much the season finished, bosh, gone. We're going a different direction next season, not happy with what's going on. I assumed, and I've said this on the channel, that once we got past the end of the season. God, where are we? We're June the 4th today. The season finished like 4 weeks ago, didn't it? So I kind of assumed that Middlesbrough would be keeping Michael Carrick. I said it literally yesterday on the podcast. Oh, well, if he's not gone by now, that means they give him the transfer window. And if they give him the transfer window, then you normally get to the middle of October and someone gets prepped up for exactly when Michael Carrick actually came into Middlesbrough. That kind of period in the season where you're preempting a transfer window by about a month or so. We always joke about the October international break, don't we? Being the kind of graveyard for Championship managers. And I thought Michael Carrick would get at least up until then, being he didn't get sacked straight away at the end of the season. But am I surprised he's actually gone, given what's happened at Boro over the longer term? I'm actually not. But there's a difference between me being surprised and me being disappointed, because I was a big fan of Michael Carrick as a player. I don't think England produced many midfielders like that. And I was a big fan of Michael Carrick as a manager, based on the fact that he seems quite a likeable bloke. And the football played by Middlesbrough in the first half season he was in charge. And I get the argument, and I know what the comments are going to say. Yeah, Ben, what about the 2 seasons following that? And you're right. And apparently Steve Gibson agrees with you as well, because Michael Carrick has obviously been fired. Short and sweet, I've got the statement in front of me here on my iPad. Middlesbrough Football Club has today parted company with head coach Michael Carrick. Michael's assistants, Jonathan Woodgate and Graham Carrick, have all also departed the club. We'd like to thank them for their hard work and unwavering commitment. How about that? We wish them all the best for the future. The club will be making no further comment at this stage. Just before we get into Carrick for a bit, by the way, I've been completely caught by this. I need to be out the door 20 minutes from now, so I'm just going to hit upload, whack a thumbnail out, and get this out, because my phone, all of a sudden, I hadn't checked it. I was just doing some other bits. I checked my phone, and there's quite a few messages saying, Ben, you've seen the Carrick news. But there we go. We need to talk about it now in the window. There we go. Just quickly on Boro. This is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons now in the Championship. And just that one season up in the Premier League, Aitor Karanka took them up, didn't he? And then down for 17-18. And Steve Gibson gets a lot of credit for being a, quote, good owner in terms of, pays the bills, keep the lights on. It's hard work going against the parachute teams, although they were one. And then the money ran out only for 2 seasons. Does he sack managers quickly now? I don't know. Let's just go through the rap list here. Gary Monk, that was a disaster, wasn't it? That's where that famous transfer window where they signed Sombalonga and Ashley Fletcher for like 22 million or something compared. Then he went to Pulis, didn't he? Woodgate, Warnock, Wilder, and then Carrick. To be fair, they normally get a couple of seasons, don't they? If it's a 3-year contract, he's not one of these owners who's bringing managers in. They get 9 months and then, presumably whatever's in the contract they're paid off for, and in comes somebody new. But yeah, 5th, 7th, 17th, 10th, 7th, 4th, we'll come back to that, 8th, and then 10th last season. So look, let's talk specifically about Carrick, because obviously we all remember that tremendous season where he comes in, Borough fans will correct me, like October, November time and takes over from Chris Wilder. And all of a sudden, Chuba Akpom is playing in the 10. They've got Ramsey on loan, haven't they? They've got Cameron Archer on loan up front. That helps. Giles is getting millions of assists. They're playing nice transition, vertical football. And they just storm it, don't they? And there was a point there. I think they went away and won at Sheffield United, who they were challenging. Sheffield United go on to finish second, don't they? But there's a point where they go and win at Bramall Lane. And the conversation really kind of becomes, well, can they actually finish second, and go all the way through? As it happens, they finished 16 points off. Actually finished in fourth to get into the playoffs. And it kind of shows a lot of times, I end up saying this to football fans, especially in the Championship. Someone comes in, they go on a good run having had a bad start, and the fans get very carried away and say, can they go all the way through? And when you have no margin for error, literally nothing, and you pretty much have to win right the way through for 30 games, it's very, very rare that happens. And when you've got no margin for error, that means just back-to-back defeats probably does it for you, and you're off to the. I remember talking to the Forest fans, Steve Cooper, that season. Could they get second? That would have literally meant, being on, 110 points projected form for 30 games in a row. It just doesn't happen, does it? But Carrick was brilliant in that takeover from Wilder. It didn't make Wilder look good because he pretty much took the same squad and the same players and played differently, and breath of fresh air, and they zoomed up the table. Obviously, he got served, didn't he, by Mark Robins in the playoffs, and that was. He did come across a bit naive in that, because I always talk about tournament football, probably to people getting fed up with me about the playoffs and how defences win tournaments, and that was very much how Robins did it. He had Harmer, he had Gyökeres. He sat behind the ball. They nicked the goal in the second leg. I think it's probably Harmer and Gyökeres combining, wasn't it? Harmer scored the goal. And yeah, that was the moment, wasn't it? Because then it would have been Luton in the final. And again, you can argue, if he wasn't tournament savvy to get through the semi, how could he get through the final? Sometimes I think a one-off game actually works better for the footballing sides rather than the kind of defensive sides. I don't know. You have your theory on that. But unfortunately, that turned out to be the peak for Michael Carrick, didn't it? Because then you're kind of saying, Middlesbrough got themselves someone really good here. He's a young manager. He'd been obviously at Manchester United on the staff there with Solskjaer and Kieran McKenna, who did get a promotion from the Championship where Carrick couldn't quite do it in that playoff period. And here's the point where I have a lot of sympathy for Michael Carrick, because that team just got ripped to pieces, didn't it? Akpom, where did he go? Ajax, wasn't it? And then all the loan players are gone. None of them could be retained. And that team that finished in fourth dropped off down to eighth the next season, and they miss out on the playoffs. That's the 23-24 season. Who got in ahead of them? I mean, look, there's two parachute teams in there, Leeds and Southampton. West Brom under Corberon, and Norwich kind of snuck in there. That's much of a muchness, isn't it? Hull there in seventh as well. They're 4 points off it in the end, Boro. I think most people, I don't know what the Boro fans think. I've got to stop doing that, most people. I'll tell you what I think. I think he gets a pass on that season because of the work in the first season and the fact that the team gets kind of ripped to shreds. But does he get a pass on this season? Well, spoiler alert, he clearly doesn't, does he? Because he's just been fired. But this is the season where Bristol City got in with 68 points. It was not a high standard. Lowest. I got caught out on this talking about Liam Manning earlier. I think it is the lowest points total ever to get into their playoffs, isn't it? Bristol City got in on 68, Boro on 64. It looked like they were going to get in, didn't it? And they came strong coming up to that Blackburn game. What date would that have been coming into the end of the season? 4th of April, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to go. So that would have been round 39. And then, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 defeats and a draw in the last 6 games. They screwed it up, didn't they? And they could have still got in on the last day, couldn't they? Go in to Coventry. I know it would have been a long shot. But, look, they lost at Millwall. They lost at Sheffield Wednesday. They lost at Coventry. So they just weren't a playoff team, were they? Literally would have been playing Coventry in the playoffs. It was like a playoff game before a playoff game against the team they lost to in the playoffs. I get it. If you look at the squad, the one thing I will say is that Latte Lath was sold during the season. And that was a problem, and Iain just didn't do anything. Did he? But in terms of the team, really like Hackney and Morris. Again, Whittaker came in January. So you can argue January killed Carrick there, didn't it? In terms of Latte Lath going. Whittaker, I'm seeing 2 assists and 3 goals there. And Iain I don't even know. Did he even score for Boro in the end? Azaz with great numbers. Hackney and Morris is a good basis to kind of build it round. Did they have enough to win the playoffs? I don't know. Did they have more than Bristol City to get in there? Possibly. So, I don't know. I get it. I get why he was sacked. I get why he got the pass for the season before. Be really interesting to see who they are going to bring in now. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. I'm very conscious I've got to run out of the door in about 10 minutes. So, I think my take on Carrick is that I'm surprised he's going now, and he didn't go 2 weeks ago, but I'm not surprised he's going. I thought he was great in the first half of the season. I get why he got the pass. I think there's some mitigating factors, as I've mentioned, with January, with Whittaker and Iheanacho in and Latte Lath out. That didn't work. But I do think there's enough there for the Boro fans to maybe say, had he learned enough over the 2.5 seasons? And was it an underachievement this season? It probably was. I always think Boro's a good job in the Championship. Steve Gibson will spend, and you will get 2.5 seasons, as we can see by this example. Let me know your thoughts on Michael Carrick out of Boro. I don't want to be late for my job I've got, so I'm going to wrap it up there, and let me know who you think would be a good replacement up there. And we now know there's going to be a minimum of 9 people starting new gigs when we kick off in August in the Championship. Absolute chaos as ever here today. Get your thoughts in. Michael Carrick out of Boro.